everyone, welcome back. I am excited because today is Turbo Day. We get to pull down, tear apart this turbo, stock Subaru turbo, RHF 55, and get to put some new parts in there. This is the last piece of the puzzle for the motor. Once you get this rebuilt, be able to slap it on the motor and get that motor back in that car. I am excited. It's gonna be a good time. Pretty, well, fastener missing there. That seems to be a ongoing trend with this car. Get these banjos out of the bottom here. Turbo rebuilds are typically fairly straightforward and easy. Somebody's had this off. This huge copper washer is not the stock copper washer that should be on these banjos. I wonder why they had this turbo off. There's, yes, this banjo, this one is water, this one is oil. Put that off on the side for now. Gotta get this oil drain back pulled off. And that is a tin. The reason I'm rebuilding this turbo is because if you haven't watched my other videos of tearing down that Subaru motor, the motor ate up a rod bearing. Any turbo vehicle, if you have a motor that eats up a rod bearing or has any bad mechanical failure where metal is sent through the motor, the turbos usually ingest quite a bit of material. Even there being a filter on the oil system, still the turbo somehow gets it. And with this car, I am not sure of the condition of the turbo. I didn't get to drive the car. All I got to do was run it very shortly and hear it knocking and making all kinds of horrendous noises. And that was the end of my experience. So I don't know if the turbo is good, what kind of health the turbo's in. Disconnecting pull that pin out of the wastegate there, get this wastegate off, put it up on the side. These are 8mm bolts going into the turbo housing on this turbo. And they look like they're stainless. Wastegate actuator off on the side. This is not a 17 on here. No, that's a 14. This is the oil feed line to the turbo. Oh, I was wrong. No, these are both water in and water out on that double banjo. Because this is oil feed, and then I took the oil drain off earlier. It was one of the first things that came off. Sorry, my bad. Yeah, we'll blow all these lines out, make sure they're clear. and we'll get this, must be a 12. Nope, that's a 10 as well, it looks like. Yeah, well, double nutted 10. Hopefully I can get this opened up. We are going to make a witness line across here, so we know how to clock that when it goes back together. I'm just going to use a punch. Try to get both surfaces in one hit here. There we go. You're probably not going to be able to see that, but just that line right across there. Clamp off. This should separate. Oh, I see. This actually has a pin in it, so it can only clock in one direction, or in one spot. So I didn't have to make that line, but I didn't know that until I got it apart, so. There we go. Yeah, that doesn't turn well at all. Definitely needed a rebuild. Let's get this cold side housing off. And actually, while I got this here, I'm going to make a mark on these two studs, so we know that's where the wastegate actuator was these two holes right here. Just save us a little trouble on stuff in the end for assembly. Oh yeah, there's a sealant. I don't know if that's stock or not. I don't know if somebody put sealant in there. I don't know if I've ever seen sealant in housing like that before. A couple of numbers here. One is actually a handwritten number. It's interesting. Put that on the side. We'll clean that up later. We got to get this nut off. Oh, that is interesting. So this nut, they actually ground on the nut to balance this assembly. A lot of turbos, when they put these together, and I believe they call this the cartridge, they put this assembly together and then spin the shaft with both of these impellers on them to balance them, and then they'll take material off somewhere on the shafts or on the impellers to balance them out. So these are balanced typically together in one piece. You can see there's a little notch out of there. They took some weight out of there. That's almost opposite of where they took it out of the nut, which is strange. I've never seen them take weight out of the nut. So I don't know. Weird. Here again, though, you can see there's a couple of marks. There's actually red on the shaft and red on the impeller. I still like to make my own mark. So when I reassemble this, I'm assembling in the same orientation. Because like I said, you don't know if they assembled it or balanced it as one piece, or if every one of these parts was individually balanced and then assembled. So I'm going to make that red mark up the impeller, up the nut, and on this shaft. We're going to be swapping the nut out, putting a new nut on anyhow, but the rebuild kit comes with a new nut. That is a 10 as well. I don't know if I can hold this towel. Oh. That could be, yes it is, it's reverse thread. There we go. There's that nut. And that's where they ground off, and that's where our line is. Put that up on the side. This should just come off of here. That's a nice fit. There's a little balance mark right there. And that was done before this was assembled. So these parts were balanced pre-assembly. And then because of this grind mark and that grind mark on that nut, especially the grind mark on the nut, I am assuming this was balanced after assembly as well. Oh, a lot of balancing in this turbo. So then this shaft should come out, maybe. There we go. There we go. This is, oh, that's shut. It looks shut. The oil seal ring is right here. That's what stops the oil from going by through the exhaust. Looks pretty toasty. Smells pretty toasty. There's lots of crusties in this turbo. I wonder if this sat for quite a while. I don't know. We gotta get inside of here. Pull these hex Allen drives out. There again, before we get this off, I'm going to make a mark just to be sure. There's a nice flat area right here. Actually, right in here. Okay. Just because I am not sure if this is pinned or not, we're going to make a mark right in there. Exhaust side was pinned, but who knows if this side is or not. There we go. Yeah, that only goes on one way. There's a drain back, both the housing and that back plate for the cold side. And then here is, I think, the oil bearing for this cold side. Yeah, that pops out of there. And then it also has a slip ring on it right there, keeping oil from going by. I'll leave that just sitting there for now. We gotta change that. We got this little plate. I think everything comes out of this side then. And we get Allen's for that. And yeah, it comes with new screws for these as well. They must know that these all get boogered right up. Oh, I'm gonna have to drill these. And that one. There's this plate. This actually, it's funny. The pictures I've seen on the internet, this does not look like the stock piece. I believe stock. This is supposed to be sintered metal stock, sintered bronze. And these slots, like this was all cast stock, and you can see machining marks. This has been all machined out. Looks like this turbo's been rebuilt once. That's maybe why it's been out. Huh. What do you know? I guess that answers our questions about why this is apart. Got a washer here. It's a hardened, looks like hardened and ground. That must be a precision washer. Yeah, that retaining clip is in the kit. Well, that was in there very loosely. This is the exhaust side. There's that retaining washer or clip. It's got little fingers on it, so when you push it in, it should lock it in. It was not locked in. That was very loose. Here's one bushing. This is a bearing that the shaft rides on. Looks in really good condition. Again, this must have been rebuilt. And now I got to get in there and push this side out. Surface right there. Putting it. There we go. See, it's coming up and out. There's the bearing bushing for the shaft. And this was that washer, or retaining washer that was in there pretty tight. Didn't want to come out. Supposed to stay in there, but no, it comes out. This little sleeve, this is not in the kit. It's just a little sleeve that keeps those bearings separated on each side. So those go on each side like that. And then the retaining clip or washer on each side. So we'll have to clean this up and put it back in. That's alright. There's no moving part with this. This is just a sleeve that goes in between. It does, however, have to go in there. You're not going to be able to see in there probably. There's a hole in the bottom. That's the oil drain back. So this hole in this sleeve has to face down towards that oil drain back when it goes in. You press that back in. You can see I got to get these little studs that I drilled out of there yet. Should be fairly easy to do. Let's see. Needle nose and see if I can get that one to turn out. Oh, that is in there. They must have put Loctite on these. And have, yeah, there's Loctite on there. Dang it. Oh, good times. Good times. It's funny because just yesterday, last night, we were having a discussion on the machinist forum about reverse drill bits. gonna get the tap that matches that. We're gonna slowly, carefully send a tap down and back in there. See if we can't get those threads out of there. I might have to go get a tap. Before we do that, let's get this other one out. And we will get this one out. How I know how to get taps out, or broken bolts out. And these bolts are tiny. Tiny, tiny. Oh my gosh. Look how easy that could have been, Paul. Look at that. Do you see that? Just a little nubbin on top of that bolt came right out. Easy peasy. Housing, you see how it's black? Look at that. No damage whatsoever. Perfect. Oh. And there's why I weld instead of drill. Okay, I am back from the store. This thread is a M3 by 0.50 pitch. Very, very small. To give you a comparison, that is like 2 human hairs. And then I also picked up that drill bit that I broke off, because I can't stand having missing drill bits in my index. Just not a good feeling about this. Get one of these new screws and see if it bottoms out in there or not. Oh, the new ones are a Torx drive. Yeah, man, that's close. If it tightens up on this plate, I'm just going to leave it how it is. Yeah, that snugs up. I'm going to leave that where it is. Put a bunch of Loctite in that hole. Hopefully it don't come out. Alright, I'm going to clean up this housing, get this gasket off of here, and then we can start assembling. Zut. Clean parts. clean up this groove. So it's just like this. This oil drain hole facing down. Taiwanese socket. I'm looking on, you're not going to see down in that hole. I'm looking down to line up that hole in that sleeve with the drain. I think ultimately what sets this depth is that sleeve that goes in here, that bushing, that bearing bushing, that washer, and then ultimately that plate that goes down and gets screwed down. I believe that's what sets that depth of that sleeve. So I think we can assemble this side, get all that in there. So these are symmetrical, and they're both the same. There's two of them, they're both the same. Let's put that down in there. Just like that. This is a new washer. That was just like that when it came out. And yeah, that kind of presses in there. This is wood. And the next thing, no, it was that hardened washer, I believe. It's that hardened washer. Goes in there. And then finally, this new plate. And like I said, this is identical to the one that was in there, so that's what makes me believe that it was rebuilt. You can see those are like identical, both machined. A little slightly different company made this one, but still the same. Like I said, from what I see, the factory ones are sintered bronze, and they are, I don't know if they would be like powder injected, but they are cast. They're like, well, they got like a cast finish to them. There was like hardly any machining on the factory ones at all. Just till it touches. Next pieces that we're in, this little sleeve, and it takes one of these oil rings. That just goes on there like that. And then that went into this plate this way. Kind of work it around slowly to get that oil ring to compress as it's going in. There. It just goes in there like that. And there was sealant on here. Anaerobic gasket maker. Activator for anaerobics. And this comes out, I don't know. Basically, it's almost like a brake cleaner. It's just blue. I'm going to wipe it up on the inside here. So we'll let that dry. I guess we can put this side in. How's that bushing? Bushing bearing race. That goes in like that. This is that, is it called a spring washer? that has the little fingers on it, so when you push it down in there, these fingers grab against the walls of the whatever you're pushing it down into. This case, a round bore housing, whatever. Let's get it lined up down in there. I'm actually able to push it down with this. Down in there. I'm just pushing that down in. Like that, and it's holding that bushing, or that bearing bushing in there. This is the other oil ring that goes on this groove right here. I'm kind of shocked. These rings they're just square. It's a square oil ring. There's no taper on either side, so it only goes on, it goes on either way. You want to be careful not to bend these as much as possible getting them on. Just enough to get it to snap in that groove. Seems to be a fairly good kit. I like the Torx drive much better than the Hex or Allen drives that were in there. That looks like it's dry. Remember, when you're assembling this little notch, this slot goes down for the oil drain here. You don't want a lot, I just want a little bit. There we go. So you're just on that very edge all the way around. I'm not down this way, just like that. Put the new bolts in. We gotta, don't forget this little, whatever the hell this is, and drops of oil, just a drop on this oil ring on the back end here, just to help it slip in here. Don't ever force anything. It should all just slide together nicely, just like that. Nice, nice. Get our compressor wheel. That should go on nicely here. Alright, there we go. I see just a little red down in that thread right there, so I'm going to line that red that we have up with that. Hopefully that's right, I don't know. So we got to put some Loctite on there. We don't want that coming off. There. We'll do this and this. I think that's good. That's about where it was. Alright, I cleaned up our mating surface and inside of right here. This stuff I'm not too worried about on this side. This is all going to get burnt out and sent down the exhaust. So as long as this side is clean. So you line up that pin with that hole now. Right there. There's our witness marks that we made. See, they're lined up. And the clamp was clamped together right where our witness marks were, so we can go right back to that same spot. It was right there. Right there, that's good. Then it has a second nut for locking. there. Tons of it, I guess. Just like that. Only line I see is this one right here. That must be our line. Line those two up. Just like that. Bolt. 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 Just to make sure, we're going to put this wastegate on. Make sure this all lines up right. Looks like an inline. Looks good. I'm kind of surprised this intake isn't pinned as well, just like the exhaust side. I've seen intakes pinned. Instead of just that line, I really should have done a punch mark to get a more spot on, but the line works. I can see my line there now. It's on this housing, that line right there, and it goes through this housing. So that's good. Just tighten down all these bolts. These don't have to be stupid like small bolts. I just want you to lose them. Yeah, not holding back the numbers here. There we go. Put that on there. Alright. You don't ever want a lot of RVT anywhere. It squishes out and it gets into the oil and intake and places. Not good. So you just get a bit on your finger and just enough to get a coating. You don't want to squeeze it on there and have a crap ton of RVT on there. Like that, or like that. That might be in the way of the exhaust. We'll go this way. And I'm holding this away until I get both fasteners in there and started. Then when it's lined up, let them draw it into that RVT and that gasket. New washers on these bolts. Get one started here. New washer on this bolt. Get that one started. There we go. There, hopefully that's good. And the oil feed. This could be anywhere. I'm going to have to put this one on when it's on the motor. This could be just facing any direction. So, there's turbo rebuild. Didn't go exactly as planned and hoped, but we got it done. This together, it spins. When I get this all together and on the motor, before I put this oil feed on, it's going to sit, and the turbo sits like this, with the oil feed facing up. I am going to take an oil can, and I'm going to pre-lube this turbo, squirt some down in that chamber, get some oil in there, spin it a little bit, just so there's some oil in there, so it's not starting up dry. Thank you all again for watching. I hope you enjoyed this one. It is done pretty much correctly. Just that one screw in that little brass plate wasn't 100%, but I'm confident it engaged enough threads And with the Loctite, it should be okay. Like I said, that plate is trapped in there anyhow. It's got no place to go. So that should be okay. This is the turbo rebuild kit that I got. Turbo Crafts. This is off of eBay. Fairly good kit. I was happy with it. I especially like the Torx drive fasteners that came with this kit. In case you guys are wondering, I don't know the guy. I have no affiliation with him. I'm just telling you what I know. And next step will be throwing the motor in the car. I am excited.